Humans are wired to find connections. We look at the chaos around us and instinctively try to tie distinct events together to make them synchronize. When we observe one event, let's call it event A, happening right next to event B, our brains automatically draw a direct line between them. We assume A caused B. But the logic textbook, Attacking Faulty Reasoning, outlines a strict rule for evaluating these claims, known as the sufficiency principle. This principle requires that a valid claim provide enough relevant, acceptable evidence to actually justify its conclusion. You have to prove your case with real weight. Simply watching two things occur in the same place or time rarely meets this standard of proof. Proximity is not evidence of a cause. As this diagram shows, assuming a direct link between A and B often leads to a specific error, the neglect of a common cause fallacy. This happens when an arguer misses a hidden, underlying third factor, C, that is actually triggering both A and B simultaneously. By ignoring that hidden variable, the argument fails to provide the best possible explanation for the events, making the entire premise logically invalid. Let's look at how this plays out on an individual level. Imagine you notice that a high percentage of elementary school teachers have children of their own. A casual observer might conclude that teaching stimulates an interest in parenthood, or that being a parent makes someone want to work in a classroom. But mapping this out reveals a missing piece. The diagram shows a more accurate explanation. A general love of children is the actual underlying factor driving people to become both teachers and parents. This same trap appears in psychological assessments. Consider a college student struggling with both obesity and depression. A standard analysis might assume the obesity is causing the depression, or that the depression is prompting the student to overeat. Look at how the model shifts here. The more sufficient explanation is that an underlying physical or psychological issue is simultaneously triggering both of those effects. Treating parallel symptoms as a closed cause and effect loop blinds us to the actual root of the problem. This logical error scales up rapidly. We frequently hear broad arguments that current movies and television programming are causing a moral degeneration in the country. This maps directly to the A causes B trap. It scapegoats filmmakers for massive, complex societal shifts. In reality, broad cultural evolutions do not happen because of a single industry's output. This expanded model illustrates the dynamic. Massive, overarching cultural shifts act as the common cause, producing both the trends towards edgy media and the changing moral standards at exactly the same time. When we fail to look for common causes on a macro scale, we end up pointing fingers at symptoms rather than gaining real understanding of our cultural dynamics. Recognizing this error is only half the battle. You also have to know how to handle it when it surfaces in everyday debates. The goal is not to win points by yelling the name of a fallacy. The objective is to actively guide the flawed reasoning back onto a logical track. When someone presents you with a rigid cause and effect claim, your strongest counter tactic is to explicitly propose a specific alternative variable. You apply a scrutiny test. You lay out step by step how your proposed common factor accounts for the events with greater accuracy than their original claim. This creates a split comparison, weighing both models by their explanatory power. Side by side, the first model is clearly an incomplete explanation. It fails the sufficiency requirement by ignoring the evidence connecting both events to a single source. Uncovering this hidden third variable provides a more adequate account of the situation. It shifts focus away from a flawed assumption and toward the actual driver of the events.